All right, we are live.
Welcome to Revolver Live, the gaming podcast that says forget the past. The future belongs to the nerds. I'm the Beastly Gamer, and today I'm joined by my best friends, co-hosts, cohorts, and co-conspirators. The king of all things Destiny, Briar Rabbit, or as I call him, Briar when I'm cuddling my wife. Briar Rabbit, how you feeling today, my friend?
I'm doing awesome, BC. How you doing, man?
Man, fantastic. Always good. The man who inhales dreams and exhales souls. And I mean that in the best way possible. Wilson, how you feeling today, my friend?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing tonight?
Great, that was a compliment. And where would we be as a podcast without the smooth and sultry sounds of Gary Diaz, the album? And I think we should refer to you as an album from this point on, Gary. You sound so helpful and post-process whenever you speak. It's like we could walk into a Borders or a Barnes & Noble and see you standing in the self-help section talking to people. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing very well. I'm ready to light up the stage and wax a chump like a candle. So let's go.
Holy shit. Revolver Live is a gaming podcast, guys, with 6 revolving topics. Become a part of the show by submitting your topics for suggestion at revolvergamescast@gmail.com. That's revolvergamescast@gmail.com. We go live every Sunday at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/Briar Rabbit. That's twitch.tv/Briar Rabbit. The video is also shared on YouTube at Briar Rabbit's channel and my channel, Beastly Gamer. If you're unable to see the live feed or for some reason you don't like video formats, check us out in podcast form on Podbean, iTunes, or your favorite podcast service. And with that behind us, welcome to Revolver Live episode 3. Let's go! What's going on, fellas?
Beasley, you fucking killed it. You killed it, man. That intro was fire.
Lit! Lit!
Good.
That was awesome. Guys,
I think we can wrap. That's it. We can finish the show now. We've peaked.
kill it. Kill it. Where the hell is the stop streaming button?
It's over. It's over.
Cut it.
I did want to address that video a little bit that we played at the front. We will be showing that again. We'll put it up on YouTube and stuff. But that's going to be the only time it's ever shown in the current format. My wife is making me change that video.
Oh, really?
A little bit of editing, and we're
A little bit of editing
smooth
has to
sailing.
go into that video before it can be consumed by the public, but we got it out there one time only in its original form.
This is the first time I'm hearing this about Briar's wife saying, "Oh hell no!" You know, and that's the secret to a successful marriage. You got to know when to hold him and know when to fold him and stop sucking him. I guess. Good
Well
shit.
said. Well said. Here.
We got feedback from last week's episode. Let's go over the feedback from last week's episode. Gary, you want to start that off?
Sure do. We've had a few emails come in, and I'm going to pick out 2 of the highlights. First one coming from Shane Paulson, which was actually a little bit of, I think it was gloating, really is the best way to describe it. He's just rubbing it in that he lives in the best part of the world. Yeah, he was talking about digital versus physical games, and spoke around the benefits of buying digital. He lives on the west coast of the US, so getting a digital copy not only lets him preload a game like Destiny 2, but he also gets to play it at 9 p.m. Pacific time on September the 5th, rather than having to wait till midnight on the 6th. So I want us all to join together in saying, fuck you, Shane.
That's
very much.
That's like
Why
saying,
you got to rub it in?
You know, I know Christmas comes once a year, but we celebrate ours on the 23rd of December. Just wanted to let you know. That's exactly how that feels.
Yeah, it is a weird thing. Destiny apparently is doing like a staggered rollout this year, though, with Destiny 2. That's the rumor going around anyway, that it's going to launch at midnight in your respective territory. So Gary could be playing it 5 hours before we could.
Here's hoping. Well, to be fair, I'm going to be playing it 6 weeks after the rest of you because I'm putting an embargo on the console version. But that being said, PC, you're definitely right.
All right. Well, then I'm not playing WoW with you.
Oh.
Boom them.
Oh.
Broke my heart, Wilson. You saw my heart break
You
live
broke
on
my
camera.
heart when you said no Destiny 2 on console, man. I
Yeah,
just said
that's
you only had to play it till it comes out on PC, and then you could ditch it.
Right.
I never
That's
said I'd
reasonable.
stop playing WoW with you at any time. But...
Tell him again, Wilson. It's called being reasonable, Gary. You can't be that much of a fucking elitist. You got friends who.
Did you see the video we played at the beginning of the show?
I was pathetic, okay?
You were amazing.
I was in the fucking woods crying, and I really feel that way. You know, I hold these things; they're dear to me, and everybody doesn't feel this way, Gary, but some of us do.
That is a beautiful toaster, I gotta say.
It is.
Can someone emote that thing and give it to Beastly for when he gets Twitch partnered? That needs to be his first ever.
That
This
should
needs to
be
be a sub badge.
Look at the state of it.
you get
I'm
a
embarrassed
toaster.
to even be a co-host of it. I mean, it's yeah. For the people listening audio only, he's pulled out his red toaster again 3 weeks in a row. This is starting to become a
It doesn't
trend.
leave my side, Gary. You know, it's like part of my workout regimen. You know, I got these for weight. Nice on my
What are
quads and my
those?
triceps. These are the controllers that go with it. If I want to hook it up to my TV, my wireless Super Nintendo controllers.
For a second, I was like, that one's backwards, but it was upside down. Never mind.
They're like the color of a knockoff Ferrari. Look how thick they are. Oh my God, they're like an inch and a half thick.
They're as thick as a Super Nintendo controller. Stop this.
No, that's thicker.
Insane.
That's like
No,
Texas
that's
toast
thicker.
thick, man.
Yeah.
That's
Texas toast.
We'll go with the
That's
theme of the
thick shit.
toaster. You know what I mean?
You know what? They don't have to love you, Yobo. I love you.
Look how thick that thing is.
It's thick as
ridiculous.
hell. I mean, it's
Look,
pretty
I
big.
think if I can just implore the chat and my co-host not to ask questions, it only encourages him. So let's just move on from his toaster and on to our second bit of feedback, which is
Okay.
from fan of the show and friend of the show, Super Dan, who's come in strong with a second week in a row and fed back that he'd like us to introduce a question of the week for the comments. So this could be, what do you guys think about the new release, or really what you've been playing, or if you have a specific theme or topic that we want to address and maybe get a bit of feedback in the week that's centered around one topic so we can have a bit of friendly and lively debate. That'd be a way to carry forward. And I frankly love this idea. I think it's really
Great
strong.
idea.
What do the rest of you think?
Yeah, I think it's a
it's-
fantastic idea too. And I think that Beasley ought to take care of this. I think this has been assigned to Beasley.
Absolutely. Sure. I'll rap. I'll do the intro. Sure. Question of the week.
I'm just sliding that responsibility. I guess it's in this direction. Right on over to Beasley.
Thanks,
Right.
Brian.
I guess you could also address Beasley's SNES toaster mini as well, if you wanted to. We could put up.
Yeah, I know
question
everyone
about
in the
that.
world. Everyone in the world can't hate this thing. There's got to be someone out there with an ounce of decency in their heart and understands that things like this are beloved treasures to console peasants.
Well, I hear it's coming to shelves next year in Kazakhstan. It's going to be the hottest toy of 2018 over there. But,
Kazakhstan.
in the
Shit.
developed world, we've kind of moved on from the Chinese knockoffs. We also had an email from Anastasia Bride asking if we wanted hot Russian wives. I frankly do, but I don't know about the rest of the show.
Well, my wife is from Croatia, so that's really close,
Hmm.
and they do things in over there that they just don't do in America. It's
Like
amazing.
what?
I can't tell you on a fucking live Twitch feed. We'll talk
Why
about
not?
this after the show.
What
possibly
could
be
you
a topic.
possibly have to say that we
Well,
haven't already
just say
discussed on
this,
this
okay?
show?
Let me just explain this to you. I'll say it real easy.
I literally was
rolls.
just holding a sign up that said I would suck dick for teraflops.
You sure did. Let me just say this, okay? In Croatia, they make this amazing dessert called nut rolls. They have kind of knockoffs here in the States. They're not just for dessert. We'll just leave it at that. Yeah, just
Okay.
think about it.
So from
Briar's
Thinking about it.
Yeah, one more piece of feedback from the YouTube comment section that I wanted to go over today too. From Michael Olson, he said, "I know you guys said that you could play on your TV." So he's talking about the PCs, like low cost PCs we were talking about last year. But to be fair, you play PC games on a PC monitor. And when people say you can buy a PC for $650 and play a 1440p and 144 hertz, then you need a monitor for that, and that's a couple of $100. Then you need mouse and keyboard. The point is that PC costs way more when you factor in all the extras.
I think that's directed towards you, Briar. I think that's in direct response to your topic last week
Yeah,
of the
I think
low
so too.
price PCs. What do you got to say to this guy?
I mean, he's got a point. When I talk about a $650 PC, I'm talking about the PC itself, the accessories. Like if you buy a pre-built PC, it's going to come with a mouse and keyboard. If you build it yourself, you're going to have to buy the mouse and keyboard separately. But when I do talk about like the lowest cost version of PC gaming, I am expecting that you're going to cobble some stuff together, right? It's like maybe you got a spare monitor or small television hanging around. I feel like everybody's got a spare mouse and keyboard hanging around. And if you don't, maybe your parents like can grab one from work that's maybe been replaced or something, or maybe you got a buddy who's got, an old one because he upgraded his to Razer or Corsair or whatever. If you go out and buy the top of the line keyboard and mouse, then yeah, those are a couple $100 to get them both, right? And if you go out and buy, a 144 hertz monitor, yeah, you're talking about at least a couple $100. But if you're really like shopping at the bleeding edge or the lowest edge of the price line for computing for becoming a PC gamer, what you want to spend that money on is the stuff that's going to make the most difference. And the stuff that's going to make the most difference is going in that box. It's not the mouse. It's not the keyboard. The monitor is something you're going to want to upgrade later, but you can play the games if you have a TV that accepts an HDMI input, right? So I definitely am sympathetic to Michael Olson, and I think he brings up a good point here. And I wanted to clarify what I was talking about, but I don't discount his conversation here at all.
I agree. A good solution too would be check Craigslist if you're from the States. There's always a lot of PC gaming accessories on Craigslist, and most of the time, like especially monitors, it's people who just want to get rid of them. You know what I mean? It might be a really small one, but I mean, you can get up and running on Craigslist with a mouse, keyboard, and a monitor. I would say you could take $50 and accomplish that. No problem on Craigslist. It won't be top of the line. I would say invest more in your mouse. You could have a crappy keyboard, but a good mouse and a good monitor is a good thing to have.
I agree.
Yeah.
And on that subject, playing on a laptop, I'm starting to feel like I'm totally not getting the experience I'm supposed to, Briar. I can't wait for this upgrade because I feel like when I'm playing the games with you guys, like Briar helped me set up my stream. So I'm actually going to be streaming on Twitch. I'm really excited and very thankful that you helped me with that, Briar.
I'm really excited to watch it.
But me playing with this keyboard and this mouse, it felt like something was lost in translation. So I feel like I really want to upgrade that aspect of my gaming immediately because people buy gaming keyboards, and I'm wondering why, because I'm not a PC player. And so it's obvious there's something I'm missing in this experience playing just on a laptop keyboard.
There's a tactile feel to the gaming keyboards. They resemble most like older keyboards, right? It's like they have mechanical switches that you don't see on new keyboards or new laptops. So when you push them in, some of them you can hear an audible click like halfway through the travel, and you can feel when it actually actuates, and then it bottoms out. It's got much more travel than what you're used to on a laptop or on a modern membrane keyboard. I think a lot of it, though, in all fairness, is aesthetics and a coolness factor, and they're popular right now. They're not going to improve your game like a gaming keyboard.
I'm still going to suck. Okay,
maybe it's got some macro keys that help with certain actions in some games, but like the actual keyboard, like the pressing of the key, I don't think is going to really improve your game over just having a $10 keyboard.
Got you.
I don't know. Okay. I think I'd probably challenge that a little bit in that I think any mechanical keyboard will improve your game over a membrane. I don't think one particular mechanical keyboard will improve your game more than another, but definitely there is a very obvious difference no matter what color switches you've got, moving from membrane to a mechanical switch. Like a membrane keyboard, you've got no feedback when you're pressing the keys. It feels sloppy. There's no real the movement on actuation is fixed and linear across it. Yeah, I can't play on membrane keyboards, full stop. So, yeah, I mean, moving on to a gaming keyboard, as long as it's mechanical, you're golden. There's lots of flavors of mechanical, but, yeah, just always look at a mechanical keyboard. That would be my advice.
The mouse, I think there is real reason to look into what your preferences are moving forward and how good each sensor is on each mouse. And, you're spending quite a bit on these things, and the quality, apparently, of the sensors, not only in how good it is at actually tracking, like they have tests where they like move the mouse in a perfect circle and track the movement on the screen, and it can be wildly different from mouse to mouse what that circle looks like. But also, so not only the quality of the movement, but also the quality of how long it will last is different from mouse to mouse. So that's worth doing some research on. And the monitor, obviously, I mean, the monitor is like the wheels on a car or the tires on a car. It's like the tires on the car are the only point of contact between the car and the road, and they make a huge difference to the car's performance. But
absolutely, yeah.
The monitor is your only input. Your eyes it's like your only feedback from what the game is actually doing. So the better your monitor, obviously, the better experience you'll have.
All right. Well, are we going to move on to our revolving topics, gentlemen?
Yeah, we got 6 topics. We're going to bang them out. Pow, pow, pow.
And don't forget,
pow,
you guys can be a part of the show by submitting your topics for consideration at revolvergamescast@gmail.com. First topic is from me. Sometimes I sit around my house and I'm looking at my consoles and sorry, Gary, consoles. And I'm thinking about, the experiences I've had with them, whether or not they're going to last, how long it'll be until they sit on the shelf. And I found myself spending time looking at my Nintendo Switch. It's something that I honestly haven't played a lot of. I think I may have bought 3 games on it since its release, and I got it, right at release. And here's my thoughts on it. My thoughts on the Nintendo Switch so far. The Switch has been out for quite a few months now, and if sales are any indication, it's a huge success. While I enjoy the console for what it has done for me in bridging the gap between portable and console quality games, I have found that as of late, I've expressed less interest in this console. There have been a few notable games, in my opinion, or games that suit my taste as a gamer. Games like Skyrim, Mario Odyssey are games that excite me, and until they release, it seems we have to contend with Neo Geo ports and mostly indie offerings. My question to you is, have you guys continually played your Switch consoles, or have they taken a backseat to other consoles and games at this point? And what do you think of the future for the console?
I think it's pretty obvious for me that it's taken a backseat. I still have yet to pick one up. Me and Sam have been talking about it, that we want to get one because we enjoy Zelda games, obviously, and then the two of us playing Mario Kart together. I enjoy it until she gets to the point to where she starts kicking my ass at Mario Kart, and then that's usually when I leave Mario Kart. It's inevitable. Happens. First time we hung out ever, I think we played Mario Kart 64. So
she beat you on your first date?
She'll claim she did, but
you ain't gonna let her claim it.
No.
Hey man, that's a hell of a foundation, Wilson. I didn't know anything about the way you guys started out, but that's an awesome foundation, brother. That's real love there. Great.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So definitely want to get Mario Kart, Zelda, Skyrim. I think I've bought on every single platform.
Me
I think
too.
I'll probably skip it on this one, depending, unless it goes on sale or something. But yeah, I still have yet to pick one up. So I'm interested to see what you guys.
Skyrim?
Say what, Briar?
Is there a release date yet?
I haven't seen one. It might be, but I haven't followed it that closely at this point. But what do you guys think of your Switches? Have they been active in your games library recently? Have they kind of taken a backseat, Briar, Gary? What are your thoughts?
For me, it's become very much my travel console. When I'm getting on a plane or I'm going for a long trip, it's the thing that I throw in the bag. I still have more Zelda to play, which excites me. I also downloaded that $40 version of Street Fighter 2. Are you fucking kidding me with that price? But I mean, I am a Street Fighter 2 fanatic. Like, I love Street Fighter 2. I could just play it forever. And I will, probably. I have it on, every console that I can play it on. And having a pretty damn good version of it on the Switch is great. It doesn't control awesome because of the analog stick. Like, you have to use an analog stick on the left-hand side, but it's not bad. And it's fun enough to play on a plane and stuff like that. I also have Snake Pass, which I think is a pretty relaxing game to play in bed. So my Switch has gone from my office to my bedside table.
That's where mine is.
I'll just kind of lean over, grab it, and play a couple of levels of Snake Pass, just to relax a little bit. Not even at night. Like, sometimes I'll just be waiting for a video to render. I'll wander in there. I'll just lay down on the bed and start playing a little bit of Snake Pass because I know I got 30 minutes to kill while I'm waiting for a video to render. I like my Switch. I'm excited for the future of Switch. Splatoon isn't my game, so I didn't go after Splatoon. Mario Kart, again, not my game. It used to be, but I've kind of fallen. I played a lot of Mario Kart back in the day, and it's not exciting to me anymore. The new Mario game I'm really looking forward to, but what I'm really most looking forward to is seeing what kind of indie games and smaller games and virtual console type games start coming. When they start releasing Super Mario Brothers and Mario 3D and Metroids and stuff like that.
Oh man,
I'm really excited for that. And actually, there's a Metroid game coming out for 3DS that's not too far away. I'm pulling out my 3DS for that one because I just like that. I like those old school kind of 2D games every once in a while, and they're perfect for maybe I'm watching some TV, maybe I'm not wholly invested in what I'm watching, so I'll just kind of lean over and grab a Switch or a 3DS or a Vita, and
That's what it's called now.
And start playing on a small console like that. So
I see exactly where you're coming from, Brian, and a part of that I agree with. I took my Switch as my travel console when I went on vacation last month. Unfortunately for me, I also took my PS4 and PSVR because my family up north had never seen it.
Yeah.
And VR kind of took the spotlight everywhere we went. Everybody was in line to play it. I got video of my own mother standing up and falling over to the floor. One of the greatest videos I've ever recorded. I made sure she didn't break a hip. But yeah, she stood up and she thought she was inside this aquarium, fell over, smashed the floor. It kind of took the limelight away from what the Switch was because people had never seen this new technology. Every now and then, my wife and I will get into some snipper clips, but it's like one of those conundrums. Like we'll go get in bed and we'll start watching YouTube or we'll start doing something else. Hint. And the Switch will just sit there. So I'm actually like you. Mario Odyssey is something that's really big for me. I really enjoyed one of my favorite portable games I ever played was Resident Evil Revelations 1 on the 3DS. I don't know if you remember it. I think it was it Claire? It wasn't Claire. One of the pivotal characters from the past, I forget her name. She was on this giant ship. It took it back to the Resident Evil 1 roots, and it was on the 3DS, and it was one of the best experiences I ever had. That's coming to the Nintendo Switch. New announcement. Revelations 1 and 2 as a singular product are going to the Switch. To me, that's the perfect game. It's a remaster, something like that, coming to the Switch. Games like Skyrim that I've never been able to take on the go. That's what really excites me about this console. But as of right now, I got what I believe is the best game on the console, and that gives the console, to me, a ton of life. Like you haven't beat the game, there's still a ton to do in it. But I was just wondering how you felt about it. Now, Gary, you've been silent. I know it's a console, but tell me how you feel.
In, so I've got a very, very different perspective to all of you on the Switch. So I'm a big handheld guy. You might have heard I like the Vita. So for me, handheld gaming is something, and portable gaming is something that I hold dear and something that I really enjoy. I like the style of game that you get. I like the fact they're not trying to be a graphical powerhouse. They generally have playability in other areas, and you find value in other areas. So for me, predominantly would describe myself as a PC gamer. That's what I play my things on. So for me, the Switch is a very, very different proposition in that if a game's multi-platform, you're talking about Skyrim, I'm never going to play it on the Switch. I'm going to play it on the PC. If a game is things like Call of Duty, again, whilst no one really plays on the PC, that would be where I'd choose to play it. For me, if it's multi-platform, I will play it on PC. I don't care what the PlayStation or Xbox does. The Switch presents a really unique proposition because there's games that just wouldn't work on the PC, really work on the Switch. So for me, it's easily my primary console of choice, more so than the PlayStation 4, because I have almost no reason to play a PS4 outside an exclusive or playing alongside you guys, because I've got a better proposition. But there's nothing that can compete with the Switch. So Zelda, love it. I've played it to death, and I'm saving the master mode for my vacation. So I will be playing it abroad. My fiance has put about 250 hours into Splatoon 2 so far.
What?
Yeah, she's like closet Splatfest queen. She's a ketchup queen at the moment.
That game is dope, Beasley. Wow. If you haven't checked it out, you should check it out, because if you haven't tried it yet, that game is very good.
I haven't. Our friend Inner Black Ninja is a huge fan of Splatoon. I don't know if he's playing part 2 or not, but when part 1 came out, I never got a hold of it. I was trying to move on, to more powerful consoles or whatnot. And when this one was revealed, I was like, well, it looks like just a Wii U game, but everybody who's playing it is telling me it's amazing. You said 250 hours, Gary?
Yeah, she's really absolutely destroyed it. She's been on her vacation. She's a teacher. She's head of department in a secondary school, and she's had this whole vacation, and she planned to play all these different games and watch all these different animes. And she's just been on Splatoon 2 constantly, endlessly. I've been watching it and peeping it, but obviously I can't prise the Switch out of her dead, cold hands. She's just clinging to that.
You have to get another one.
I find myself asking, or at least I don't know if you guys have this as well, where I'll find a game, or I'll play a game on PC, or play a game somewhere else, or I see a game advertised for the PlayStation, and I think, oh my God, wouldn't that be good on Switch? Like, I've said that so many times, like, this game would be amazing on Switch. and I'd never say that about any other console. I guess I kind of said it about Vita on certain things, but for me, the portable aspect of the Switch and the fact that it is that hybrid console and it does things that the other consoles can't and satisfies the niche that I don't have on PC. I think it's the primary console that a PC gamer should buy. I'd recommend it over a PlayStation 4 any day of the week.
Wow.
Assuming you're a PC gamer.
That's crazy talk to me because there's just not enough software for it. Like, I understand your point about, like, a lot of the games that come to PlayStation 4 are, they're better on the PC if you have a PC. But there's so many exclusives coming to PS4 that look so good. I'd much rather have a PS4 than a Switch if I'm a hardcore gamer. Switch is great because it's portable, but the PS4 has really good exclusives, and they got a bunch that are already out that you can go and play like right off the bat. But then they got a bunch coming out like this year that look
Yeah.
A lot of the exclusives, though, I feel like you're playing them because they're exclusive. I've probably played 3 PS4 exclusives or Sony exclusives myself, and I'd consider myself a gamer. Maybe I'm a niche gamer and I'm pigeonholed, but I played Horizon because of how hype it was. I didn't really have that much interest in playing Horizon. I enjoyed it. It was a great game, but I wouldn't really be much worse off if I hadn't played it. If I'm honest with you, I've got Uncharted. I've never played any Uncharted game.
Really?
I've got all of them. Yeah, I've got all of them. I've
Man,
never
you're
played
missing
them.
out, bro.
I tried to play Bloodborne, couldn't do it.
Oh, what?
Neo seemed okay. Dark Souls I played on PC. I don't know. For me, the exclusives.
The Last of Us, please.
Yeah, no, actually, that's true. That's one of my 3. So The Last of Us and Horizon, I think, were the 2 big ones that I played. And I think there's a third, but I'm forgetting.
I mean,
it now.
you listed off some games that are really
Amazing,
really close to my heart. The Uncharted series. I was a little bit disappointed with Uncharted 4. I know that's not a popular opinion, but Uncharted 2 and 3 are some of my favorite games of all time. Like, I thought they were just outstanding. Like, I've never played a game that made me feel like an action star more than those 2 games.
Yeah.
And Uncharted 4, it was more of that, and I guess I was a little disappointed because they didn't evolve it any, but I mean, it was still a great game. Horizon, I thought it was pretty spectacular. It didn't hold my attention just because Zelda came out like a week later.
You did it wrong, Briar. You did it wrong.
What do you mean?
You went straight to that Zelda. Everybody who played Zelda turned their back on Horizon. It was just a better overall package.
Yeah, it was just a better overall package, but it was still a fantastic game. And the story, I thought I mainlined the story. I didn't get down with the side quests at all. I really, they just couldn't hold my attention. And that might have been because I was in a rush to get through it. I just wasn't giving the side quests a chance. But I thought the story was fantastic, and the combat was fun. It was just fun. I mean, the God of War, the new God of War looks dope as shit. It really is exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Dad of War. It looks really good. You talk about the Uncharted series, and that was one of the first games that I ever played that I felt like I was watching a movie. Mm-hmm. Only wanted to play because the gameplay felt good, but I wanted to get to the next cutscene and find out what happened. I was totally immersed into it. Haven't played the newest one still. I think that charm sort of burned out on me, but I feel like that was one thing that Naughty Dogs does really well with that series is tell a story that keeps you interested and fast paced.
Yeah.
It's
it's not like we got these long cutscenes where you're talking to a box in the top right-hand corner that's barely moving, and you don't care about what they're saying. These stories move fast. They got character development. You love all the characters. They're fast.
Yep.
I mean, it could just say more to my taste as a gamer, though, because for me, story has always been of little importance to me. You're talking to a guy who put 11,000 hours into just a grind, a game where I'm just playing and grinding through without any need for narrative. So maybe that's why those particular games didn't appeal to me and why the Sony exclusives I'm not their demographic. So that could potentially be the reason for it.
And I just quickly, I want to address one game that you couldn't get into, Bloodborne. Please take it back. Bloodborne was so good. My God, it was an amazing game.
Bloodborne was fantastic, but I hear Gary on that frame rate. I remember playing that, and there was this bridge. It wasn't even a big bridge. It was this little 10-foot long bridge, and I think the frame rate drops to 10 frames per second on that bridge, man. And you're expected to fight on it.
Yeah.
I was and I like that game, but that frame rate is rough.
If I could play it
I
on
know what
PC,
spot you're talking about. I saw a
would play it.
speedrunner get stuck there because of the frame rate. It like was just, oh, that
Yeah.
bridge was awful.
Ooh, that
Bad.
pissed me off if I was a speedrunner. Oh,
Yeah. I've
Every-
never liked
every-
a Dark Souls game, and Dark Souls 3 on the PC was the first one I played and completed because I really enjoyed playing it at 144 frames a second. You know, I found the fluidity of the combat easier to manage. I found I was dodging easier, playing easier. If I could get Bloodborne on PC, I would play it tomorrow. That's, you know, how much I want to play the game, but I just can't.
But there are also exclusives on the PS4 that you can't really. It's not just because they're exclusive in title. Games like Until Dawn are something that you just don't really see anywhere else. Games that come out of nowhere, no one expects, and are really kind of game-changing experiences where you're watching and experiencing like this cinematic gaming experience that tells an incredible story and makes you feel like you're a part of it. Other games like Ratchet and Clank, which I just recently bought, are amazing PlayStation exclusives.
Oh, you get
can't
the
really
new one?
Yeah, I bought
Is
it
it
on
good?
sale.
It's like
It's-
it's the remake of the first one.
Yeah, Briar, I swear to you, man, it looks like you're playing like a Disney or Pixar film.
Mhm.
I'm playing it on the Pro. I actually went full 4K, not capturing any footage, and I played it on my 4K with HDR. My brain exploded. My eyes just melted out of my head. It looks like you're playing a real Pixar film. That's how it looks. It's
I've
insane.
always liked the Ratchet and Clank. They've
And
always
it's
been-
it's a complete remake. Everything you love from the original series all those years ago, just revamped and redone, and it's eye-shatteringly beautiful, and it's just something you really can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, I
And
saw
some-
Sam playing it. She picked it up, and it looks like it runs very, very smooth.
It's
And
so-
she's not even playing it on a pro, and it just looks fantastic. She really enjoyed it. So
I think I'm
if you
gonna
really
try
like
that.
Ratchet and Clank, you should pick it up.
They're
Well,
just
take all
good
your-
games. They're solid games. They got fun weapons to play with. They get fun worlds to explore. They got fun and interesting characters. Like, I'm down.
Yeah, I'm sorry
take
that
all your
Sony
points.
took over this.
No,
Nintendo.
I take all your points on it. I mean, mine. It's just expressing myself. I've got all the consoles, so it's not like I'm limited in what I can play. I've got a PlayStation 4 Pro sitting on my desk here, ready to go on a 4K monitor, and I haven't turned it on in
You just can't
months.
tear yourself away from WoW. That's the problem.
Yeah,
It's PC in general. I have played the Switch. I haven't played the PlayStation. I've played the Vita more than I've played my PlayStation 4. But that again, it's me. I'm probably seeing it from my perspective, so I appreciate you guys have made very persuasive points. So I'm willing to be open-minded about it.
Oh, this is
That was
amazing.
that was a really in-depth Switch discussion there.
One of
Where
us,
did
Gary.
that one go? Where did that one go?
Well, that's the beauty of Revolver podcast, right? It revolved and evolved into another conversation. Briar interjected the fact that they're exclusives on other consoles, and it kind of went haywire. But that's what we love, and that's what the people who watch Revolver love about the podcast. Next topic, let's revolve, guys.
Nice. Well, next topic is a topic that I picked, and it's purchasing collector's edition games for the swag or the items that you get. So lots of games these days are selling collector's edition bundles that come with in-game content or in like real life items. So whether that be weapons, quests, cosmetic items, or even featured DLC, or whether that be a handbag or a collector's edition ghost or
Underwear.
yeah, underwear, but I guess what I kind of wanted to talk about was how many times have you guys upgraded to the higher price bundle based upon what you will receive? And what are some of the most memorable and funny collector's edition bundles that you can remember?
I got two right on the tip of my tongue, so I'll go first. The Halo the Halo helmet was a big one. The cat helmet. It was like a little miniature. Yeah, is there one behind you? I can't see it.
You can't see it. I got it back there somewhere though. I need to organize my room. It's a disaster.
That was dope. I'm not gonna lie. I still like that thing. I like having that thing around. I was a huge Halo fan, and it's even though I don't play Halo anymore, I still like crack a smile when I see that helmet. The other one is my Destiny Ghost from the collector's edition.
It's so good.
Like it is. To me, it's one of the coolest collector's editions I've ever gotten. It's a light up ghost. It's USB powered. It's got a battery in it. Like it's just a cool thing. I will say the BioShock figurine was pretty good too. I have that.
Yeah.
That came broken. I was one of the people when that came out. Half of them were broken that got shipped out. So they started a program where you could ship them back and get a new one. I got one of the replacements from that.
That's Jack. I honestly, guys, haven't been one of the gamers who's purchased many of these collectible, I guess, collectible sets. I never do it when it's digital content only because in my mind that digital content will become available somewhere down the line either way. But some of the more memorable ones that I've seen in the past that I actually considered doing, I'll only do it first of all if it's a game I'm head over heels in love with. Like The Last of Us. The Last of Us 2 comes out with a bust of a character or something, I'm buying it. But the craziest one I ever saw had to be Dead Island. They came out with a collector's edition, which was a woman's torso, missing a head, and it was just bit the fuck up. It was a huge torso about this big, and it was a zombie torso with no head. And I was like, wow, it looks cool, but it's not really something you would just show off in your living room or on the mantle.
Right.
But it was really cool, and it really fit the what the game was all about, the feel of the game. So to me, that was awesome. And another one that I remember from the past years ago was on the GameCube when Resident Evil 4 came out. They did a special edition where you could buy Resident Evil 4 and you got a GameCube controller that was shaped like the chainsaw that's used in the actual game.
I remember that.
I remember that too.
And to me, that was something, I was younger and I didn't really dabble with things like that. I wasn't at GameStop or Funko Land every day. But that stands out to me as some of the most memorable and awesome kind of kit that you could buy with game collector's editions. What do you think, Gary?
So I've got a few, actually. I waste more money than any human should ever waste on games.
Send some to me. I'll give you my address after the show.
It's ridiculous amounts. I find it difficult if someone shows me that there's a collector's edition of a game that comes with something physical to not just buy that edition default. So almost every game that I buy is the collector's variant or the limited edition or the whatever else there. So I've got a lot to choose from potentially there. Some of the more odd ones. I was a bit of a G in my youth, running with the Crips and the Bloods. Gary. So
are they over there? They've made their way across.
No, I think it's more of a spiritual link that I feel across the pond.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm crip walking all the way down to London. No, I don't know if you ever played on the PlayStation 1. There was a Wu-Tang beat 'em up, 4-way beat 'em up called Shaolin Style.
Yep.
I do remember that.
Yes.
Yeah. With all the characters were like reimagined. So you had like Ugod with the golden arms and like RZA with the swords, and it was amazing. Great game. Really good fun. And I actually got the collector's edition of that, which came with a PlayStation 1 controller, which was a finger torture device, but it was the Wu-Tang shaped PS1 controller. It was like a W, like the Wu W.
What?
It was the best controller I've ever seen.
I remember that. It was black and yellow, right?
Black, yellow buttons, black Wu-Tangs. It would be like, so, you could do that the stuff. It was
damn
liquids, popping liquid swords. That was the controller that I always had when, buddies came over, just because, again, it was swag. Wow. So that was probably the weirdest thing I bought.
I don't know, man. I've seen you with something weirder.
I was going to say, now after that controller.
For the people that aren't long-term watchers of the show, if you're new to the show, I actually picked something up for my PlayStation Vita, a collector's edition for a game called Galgun, a double piece. I don't have it to hand here, but the premise of the game is that you photograph. It's a school, effectively, and you're photographing young, impressionable Japanese schoolgirls. And certain
precarious
angles,
situations, yeah.
Certain angles can get slightly more points for the photos, and that collector's edition came with.
It's called pedophilia. The game.
Yes.
The game came with what was classed as a screen cleaner, but it was actually a pair of Japanese girls' school panties, which I'm not too proud to say that I've got on display somewhere in my house.
I thought you were going to say you were wearing them. I was about to be like, yes.
I have them on right now. And then the other practical collector's edition that I've got that I get use of every day, well, not every day, but when it's in the wintertime, is Infamous Second Son. I got an edition that came with a beanie hat. And I still use that beanie hat to this day because it's a fashionable, functional piece of clothing.
So that's another PlayStation exclusive, Gary. You brought it back. Awesome.
I've never played the game. I just
want that beanie. Oh, fuck. You
Swag.
are the man.
Yeah, no, I've got loads. I could mention endless of them. I'm looking up now. I bought it was like a $250 version of Final Fantasy 12 that we bought recently. Final Fantasy 15 that came with the Noctis figure. Every one you can think of that's come with something cool, we've probably bought.
So,
Gary,
I will say this. Go ahead, Beasley.
No, just go ahead. This is nonsense. Go ahead.
I will say this is that over the years, I've become more resistant to buying this stuff because I do find that so little of it actually like means anything to me after I've put down the game. Right? It's like it's got to be a really special game to me. Actually means something, and that's why like the 3 I listed, they were cool pieces of swag, but they also, when I look at them, they remind me of that experience of playing that game, and so few games do that to me. I went ahead and ordered the collector's edition or the whatever edition of Destiny 2, and I look at that stuff and I'm like, it's a bag. It's not nearly as cool as that Ghost.
Yeah,
right?
that Ghost is
nearly
awesome.
as cool. But I got it. I'll probably give it away because I don't really want this shit around, right? I don't actually want to have these little trinkets all around my house. Like it's not that I'm embarrassed that I'm a gamer. It's just that I don't like shit around. Like I don't like clutter, and I don't like I don't like having this spare stuff around that's functionally useless. So it's
I feel you, Briar.
I'm the exact opposite. I think a lot of it stems from like, I mean, if it's in-game stuff and it's a game that I really like and enjoy, like Destiny, no brainer. I'm getting it. I'm doing it. If I'm going to put the amount of hours that I'm planning on putting into Destiny 2, why not? I'll be really able to enjoy that stuff. I was the same way. I got the Halo helmet, the Master Chief helmet, but probably one of the most memorable ones for me was the Call of Duty night vision goggles.
Oh,
you guys remember that?
Yeah.
I had those, and they were great for flipping the switch in the house and walking around. They worked pretty good. They worked even better during the wintertime when there was snow on the ground and there was more light being able to be reflected.
Amazing.
But as far as I used to be a sucker for it. Collector's edition everything, and then I had to move for the first time. And then you realize how much stuff you have during a move, and then when you unpack how much stuff you have to unpack, and having all these figures and stuff. It's the same thing. I'm not embarrassed that I'm a gamer. I mean, all of my tattoo, I wear it very proudly that I'm a gamer. You know what I mean? But having all these figures to pick up and dust, like I'm not big on dusting as much as I probably should be. Sorry, Gary, but you probably keep your place tidy.
I'm just so bad for it. I've got games that I have no intention of ever playing, like Far Cry 3, which is the one with Pagan Min. Is that 3? I've never played that game.
I think that's 4.
Is it 4? Okay, 4. I've got the statue of him sitting in front of an elephant above me. I've never put the disc in the drive or played the game. Just literally things like that. Just sit around. Hitman, the one that you like, Briar. I've rebought that on PC with the intention of playing it, but when it came out on the PlayStation, it came with a nice suit tie and the guy sitting on a chair. So I bought that. I've never played it. It's just things like that I've
that
just
game
bought.
is phenomenal, Gary. Like it's really fun. It's a really good streamer game too. Like if you're looking to like stream a game and you want some good chat interaction, like the chat really gets into what you're doing because there's an investment to what kind of hijinks you're up to. It's a great game.
I might try that, bro.
I think a lot of the need for when I first started getting collector's edition everything was because growing up in our day, we didn't really have as much access to trinkets and swag and stuff like that because the internet was still very, very young. Back in my day, to get official Nintendo swag, you had to save up PowerPoints of the back of your Nintendo Power magazine, and once you got like 1 billion of them, I remember sent it in for the James Bond, the Nintendo 64 GoldenEye. It was a replica of his watch. And I had like the watch replica. There was just so much cool stuff that you could get from it. And I think like once I got a little older and more like collector's edition stuff started popping up and I had more disposable income, it was a bit of a splurge because I wasn't really have that much access to it as a kid.
You weren't restricted anymore,
Yeah, and then like I said, once you move for the first time, you're like, I don't want to keep taking all this stuff with me.
Have gotten so fucking expensive. Like the Fallout 4 one I was into, like the one that came with that like bomb, like the megaton bomb. Like it was like a mini nuke. I was like, yeah, man, that actually looks cool. I wouldn't mind having that little mini nuke around. Maybe I could even do something fun with it. Oh, it's $250. Go fuck yourself.
What about Briar? Didn't you want the refrigerator too?
Uh-huh.
A little
Yeah.
tiny mini fridge.
Yeah, I thought that would have been cool. I could actually use a mini fridge in my office. It'd be convenient to have cold drinks ready to go all the time.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't really, like, I have a family. I have responsibilities, right?
Wife and kids ain't cheap, man.
Anytime I spend money, I'm always thinking, what is the return on investment of this money?
Mhm.
Right? It's easy for Destiny. I could easily spend a bunch of money on Destiny stuff because there's a very easy return on investment for me. For entertainment stuff, it gets a little harder. Yes, there's a return on investment because I am getting entertainment value. Yeah, I am getting entertainment value out of it. But like, if I'm gonna buy like a $200 version of a game, and I'm gonna get some trinket that sits on a shelf and does absolutely fucking nothing for me, especially if I end up not loving the game, like Fallout 4.
Wait a minute. This doesn't do nothing,
It's a
bro.
reverse investment. Oh shit! That's the real.
It makes
sound.
noises.
Yeah.
It does so much more.
That's what the ghost
I'm-
does. Well, this whole conversation, I get two things out of it. Hashtag Briar was right. I think it was last show. Wilson said, the whole purpose of life is to fill your house with all this shit. And Briar said, no, it's to figure out how to get this shit out of your house. And so that's exactly the truth. And another thing I'll say to you guys, I do have some trinkets, right? But I've taken it a step further, and I think in a more meaningful way. Certain games that I've grown to love over the years. Tekken is one of my favorite fighting games, if not my favorite. My favorite character in that game, her name is Nina. I named my kid Nina, okay? I named her Nina because of Tekken, and my wife knew it before we named her. I also named my last kid Ellie from my favorite game of all time, The Last of Us. So I guess it's kind of a return on an investment. You don't have to spend any money or put any extra space aside. Just name your fucking kid after the game
Did you
you
just
like.
say you don't have to spend any money on kids? Because that's the most expensive thing I've ever undertaken.
Look, all I do is make money, and I don't see it anyway. So to me, I'm just living life.
Right.
Shit, I'm just living it. I'm stuck. It is what it is. I'll be back at work tomorrow. I promise you that.
It's actually a pretty good transition into our next topic, which is the grind. I threw this one in. Why do we enjoy the grind in gaming, but we don't enjoy the grind in anything else? So you said, you're sitting there, you're grinding at your desk, you're grinding at work, come home, hit the sheets, you're grinding again, but that's probably a little bit more enjoyable. It's the grind as a game. We as gamers have come to enjoy the grind. I've heard Destiny 2 lamented for having less of a grind. People saying, oh, it's not going to have the grind. What are we going to grind? Where's the grind? When did the grind become fun?
When they figured out how to reward us for it. That's when it became fun. When they figured out how to get that dopamine drip on us. Like what we'll do is we'll make them do 15 minutes of bullshit work, but at the end of it, we're going to give him this purple shiny thing, and he's going to smile about it, and he's going to be looking for the next 15 minutes of bullshit work to do.
100%. They've found a way to get you to the last, I guess it would be the flagpole at the end of every Mario level, but they've stretched it out and gave you something at the other side of that flagpole. And games like Destiny, MMOs are notorious for it, giving you something. You're working out there hard for some kind of rare drop. When you finally get it, it might have taken you hours. For you, Gary, hundreds of thousands of hours. You're still there for a reason because you're getting something. And Briar nailed it. For me as a console gamer, I've dabbled in MMOs. I played Silk Road. I probably put over 3,000 or 4,000 hours into that game years ago. And the thing that kept me coming back was the prospect of finding something so rare that even in the game world, in the real world, it would cost someone $50. That special loot, that special item that just you might by chance come across. And Destiny has that in spades. I think there's no other game quite like that. Other games have tried the formula, but I don't think any other game has really mastered it the way Destiny has.
I feel like grind is a good thing to, although some will call it artificial longevity added to a game. There's a lot of people out there that is how they like to play the games. You know what I mean? Like grinding for a specific item. And it's also a bit, I feel like, throw the word elitist around a lot, but it's something to be like, hey, I got this first, and then now your friends want it, and you could take them and show them where you got it and stuff like that. And it's a very cool feeling when you get the drop you're looking for when it drops. It's a sigh of relief. But just like Briar said, you're on to the next 15 minutes of bullshit for the next one as soon as you get what you want. And like, I feel like a lot of people get turned off by that like artificial longevity, but I don't really have a problem with it. Like that was my big concern when they said that weapons were going to have stagnant rolls in Destiny 2 was my first thought was, well, what about the grind? Where's the grind? What am I going to, I'm going to be really upset by the time I get 4 or 5 of, a certain hand cannon when I'm after a certain type of pulse rifle or auto rifle or something. So I really enjoy it. And for me personally, it's not, even if you don't get what you want, I mean, there was the Grasp of Malak is a perfect example. Me and Briar, dude, how many hours did we grind that out on stream? Just kicking back beers and hanging out and having a good time. And that was one of the most
the end of that was real hazy. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, Briar's limit is 5, and that's when his wife takes one of them. How far did you guys get here?
We did it the whole stream, just killed her over and over and over again. And it was one of my favorite nights because we were hanging out, we were shooting the shit. Eventually you get turned into autopilot mode on what to do. And it becomes less about the adventure, how it's going to sound cheesy, less about the adventure itself and more of the destination and where you guys end up afterwards. Like, it's a great night. We all got what we were looking for. Or, hey, maybe tomorrow night we'll get it. You know what I mean? Like, there's a bit of magic to it.
To me, it feels like your time is valuable, and I think everyone values their own time. There are games out there you could play, a quick 5 or 10 minute mission, and it's the same thing over and over again. But when developers have found a way to stretch out your time in a meaningful way like this, it becomes a more valuable experience. If you're playing for 30 or 40 minutes towards a goal and at the end of the goal, there's a big question mark, but more than likely there's something there that's going to be unique, that's going to add to your experience. It makes that time, that investment, more important and more valuable to the gamer. And I'll use that example again. Destiny has really, really mastered that experience. You don't feel like you're wasting your time. It's a more meaningful experience because, of course, your time is valuable to you. You're going to put in those hours. You're putting them in for a reason because it is a meaningful experience because of, I guess, that light at the end of the tunnel, that pot of gold at the end of that rainbow. And I think that's
a fine line, though, isn't it? Basically, like some games have a grind in them, but it just feels tedious and awful. There's a reward waiting for you at the end of the grind. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing it. But even
that's
when
why
you're
I'm citing
doing it,
Destiny.
There's been. I remember that this is a way back when, but a coworker of mine said, you got to check out EverQuest. You got to check out EverQuest. You got to check out EverQuest. I downloaded it. I paid the $15 monthly fee to get into it. So it was like, it ended up, I can't remember, but it was a lot of money at the time to just play for the night. So I get in there and he's teaching me what to do. And one of the first thing he says to me is, okay, you got to learn this skill now. I'm like, okay, how do I do that? He's like, you got to meditate. I'm like, how do I meditate? He's like, you got to click this button and then sit there still. Like, how long do I got to sit here for? He's like, 15 minutes. I'm like, are you fucking shitting me? Like, is this a game or is this like I gotta sit
sitting
here?
Simulator?
I gotta literally sit here still for 15 minutes. He's like, yeah, that's how you do it. I'm like, I'm fucking out. Like, this is not for me. It was pissing me off because I bought the game and then I paid that $15. And I was young. I didn't have a lot of money. Like that was a lot of money.
Right there with you, bro.
That was a game I could have bought that was fun instead. And one of my first experiences was World of Warcraft, and one of the reasons I bounced off it so quick was I went and did a quest early in the game, and the quest was go retrieve 5 like boar skins or something like that. Like I had to kill boars and bring their pelts back to the quest giver. Of course, not every boar has a skin, apparently. So I had to kill like 30 of them to get the 5 skins.
Bullshit. You got some skinless boars attacking you.
Right. And then I get back, I turn them in, and like that quest is over. And like the next quest was exactly the same fucking quest, but a different animal.
That a lot of MMOs do that.
Right? Yeah. So I was just like, this. First of all, clicking on these boars was not that interesting. Second of all, the quest itself, not interesting. And like, why am I killing boars that have no skin? Like the whole thing just turned me off so much. It was again. I was just like, I'm out.
mean, obviously, you're talking there about classic WoW, and then that was like BC said. There's old games and old MMOs used to put you through that grind as almost like a rite of passage that you have to go through this hardship to acquire gear to get to a point where you are viable. Nowadays, most games, WoW included, have had like a theme park streamlining that a lot of people lament. Like you say, where's the grind? The grind is gone. You've taken my grind away. Because you're handed gear, handed incredibly powerful gear. You speak about having to do a quest. The quest is clearly marked on your map. The things are glowing yellow, like kill this thing, and it guaranteed gives you the stuff. And the guy where you hand it in teleports to you for you to have. It's like really handheld. And a lot of people have kind of bounced off games because they've lost that element of I'm going to kill 30 boars with a chance to maybe get the skin. So do you think like people's tolerance towards the grind has diminished? Because for me, I miss it. I miss wasting evenings just to get the slightest bit of productivity done. I want it to be so difficult that there's a brick wall that pushes away anyone that's not willing to put the time in.
It's got to be fun though, Gary. Like the grind itself to me has to be fun. Like the actual so Destiny, I've had grinds in Destiny that really pissed me off. There was a grind, I think it was for a sword, where you basically had to go to each of the planets and wait for a certain event to happen, and the event was randomized. So there's like a chance of like 4 different events happening, and there was no indication in game when or where the event would happen either. So you had to use an external website that was somewhat accurate about an event was coming, but you didn't know which one it was coming, and it wasn't always accurate. So I sat on Earth for 4 hours waiting for a certain event to happen. That's the worst kind of grind to me, because I'm literally doing nothing. Just waiting for the game to, like, okay, we're blessing you with this random activity now, and then if you complete it, you can continue on your quest. Meanwhile, there's grind in Destiny, like just playing the game and having fun, and all of a sudden a Hawkmoon drops at the end of an Iron Banner match, and I literally jump out of my seat with excitement. So it's like there's 2 levels of it, because with the Hawkmoon, I was just playing and having fun, and that was grinding, but
different
it didn't
kind of
feel like it because I was playing and having fun. Whereas the grind for the sword was awful.
Brian, I remember that, Brian. That was early in Destiny. And you actually told me about those sites so you can go and find these events coming. Yeah. Kate and I went around to 3 or 4 planets looking for them for probably 3 or 4 days before we quit.
It's terrible.
I think it's important to keep the player engaged in an activity, and then, because like there's, I guess you could say there's different kinds of grinding. You could say there's quest grinding, there's item grinding, like if you're looking for a specific drop at the end of an activity. But I feel like in no way should at any time the developers make you disengage from the game and do nothing to achieve your end goal. I feel like you said it best, like you were just playing Iron Banner. I loved that system at the end of Crucible when the person at the bottom of the scoreboard would get the exotic and everyone would, oh my God, that guy got a Hawkmoon, and he was just running around half the time, like not even playing. Like, as frustrating as it was, like it was hilarious and it was awesome. But I think that's a developer thing, that they need to find a way to keep players engaged and grind at the same time. I think Borderlands did that really well.
Oh yeah, it sure did. Damn it.
Each boss had a specific drop that he could drop. So there's 100 plus bosses in that game.
You gotta watch that frame rate in Borderlands, though, Wilson.
Right? Yeah, I know. Was I disappointed?
Why is it so slow?
Why is it so slow? But yeah, I feel like Borderlands did it even better than Destiny. As big of a fan as I am of Destiny, I feel like Borderlands did it really good with each boss having a specific piece of loot. Actually, I think a lot of them had 2 pieces of loot that were specific to them. So I don't know. I really hope to see more of that in future games because I really enjoy it. People call it inflation, longevity of content, and it's just what I like to do.
Yeah, but they got to do that though, because if you just make a game like they used to make for the NES or the Super NES, that You play through
over.
it through, and it's like a legit playthrough is like 3 or 4 hours, and you try and charge $60 for that in this day and age, you fucking laughed out of here, right?
Right.
So they've got to find ways of increasing player engagement and figuring out ways to let the players stay in this world for longer periods of time. And when you get into a game like this and start looking at like player engagement, when the company starts looking at player engagement and games as a service, like, they got to figure out ways to keep people engaged for long periods of time. And the grind is definitely one. You just got to be smart about it.
Before we move to the next topic, Briar, I just wanted to tell you I was in a completely different world, but I had the same experience when it comes to EverQuest. I was playing it on PlayStation 2, believe it or not. I bought this little portable hard drive, like a little Ethernet port that you stick on the back of the PlayStation 2. You plug in your Ethernet. Who remembers this shit? I bought the mouse and keyboard.
Did he just say he plugged his Ethernet into his hard drive?
No, it was an Ethernet port that you buy. It was a portable hard drive.
I was just laughing at Gary's face when he said an Ethernet port for the back of your PlayStation. Gary
Gary
up and kind of had a look on his face.
It's true. Look, in order for you to play online back in those days, you had to buy a portable hard drive that slid into the back of your PlayStation 2. Then you had to get the Ethernet port, which is a separate purchase, stick that on the back of that. And then you plug the Ethernet into that, and you were able to go online. Resident Evil Outbreak was one of the games I played. And, of course, EverQuest, which is the first time in my life I ever played an MMO. And, it was you had voice chat and typing back and forth to people. To me, it was amazing. I played it for probably about a fucking week. And I think I spent close to $250 just for that experience, Brian. I had to buy a keyboard, a mouse, a game, a hard drive, an Ethernet port.
I had a completely different experience to you guys on MMOs, and that was just, I wanted to hear how you guys felt it there, but that's what got me hooked. The first proper MMO I played was a ARPG style, looked like Diablo, but it was an MMO. Everyone else in the game is a real person. It was a game called Legend of Mir, made by like an indie developer. It wasn't a big one, and then I moved on to like Dark Age of Camelot, etc. But what got me was I got into the game, and then someone ran by who was like a level 40 or something, and I spoke to my friend. I was like, how do you get that gear? And he's like, you got to put like so-and-so 100,000 hours, whatever in. And I was like, right, where do we start? Let's clear the schedule. Like, let's go.
You weren't playing. That's why I love it, Gary, man.
That was what got me. I was like, wait, you're telling me if I put more hours in and grind more, I can like own all the noobs? And they were like, yeah, you can own all the noobs. And I was like, right, that's it. I'm going to begin. So yeah, for me, it was, I loved all that. So I guess it's a Marmite thing. Some people love the idea of mindlessly banging your head against a wall for weeks on end to get one level. And some people find that frustrating. I found value in it. But
subjective gaming,
odd and peculiar special flower. So
you are a very, very special flower, Gary.
We got any more topics?
Yeah, let's revolve. Where are we going?
What's the next topic?
I think it's yours, Briar.
I don't have the thing up. So,
how important is sound to your gaming?
Oh shit! Yeah. So, all right.
I can't hear you, Briar. I get my sound.
I just got this note from my wife. It says, "I think our Ethernet is down." It's okay.
I saw her when she came in. She was moving fast too.
So sound in gaming, right? It's a funny thing to me because it's such an important topic for me. Like, because I spend a lot of time dealing with sound, YouTube videos, Twitch streaming. I'm trying to improve the sound quality that I provide constantly. But I also really like music. I also really like to hear sounds, and I like to listen to music on good speakers and good headphones, and I spend a lot of time thinking about sound in that way. And when I watch movies, if I'm going to sit down and watch a movie, I like having a subwoofer connected to my TV or to my media viewing experience because, getting full surround sound and big bombastic explosions and, it's just so much more immersive to me. And the same goes for gaming. When I game, I spend a lot of money on headphones.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of money on speakers for surround sound setups in my living room. And to me, it's such an enjoyable thing. But I see so many people talking about, well, I just play on the TV monitor speakers. What? No, so many people go out and buy,
No.
$2,000, $3,000 TVs, or even, $1,000 TV, but then they're using speakers that, spit out. They don't even point at the person who's watching the TV. They point at the wall behind the TV because they're trying to hide those fuckers now. And like I understand like the visual point of view for a game or for a movie or something is an important one. But you're missing out on like that surround sound experience and that detailed sound. It makes me crazy, guys. It makes me crazy.
I'm with you, man. I'm all about having sound with it. Like I love going to a good movie theater and having a movie and you feel the explosions and stuff like that. I don't quite really want that in my living room maybe, but like I do have like if I'm not listening through my headphones, which like a lot of the times, if I have the option to, I will, even if I'm sitting here watching a movie by myself, just so I can get that immersive feeling. Yeah. I have to have it with video games. I used to be very against headphones having anything but my chat audio coming through it. And I was one of those guys that would have their TV on, and you'd be able to hear me playing while I'm talking to you, obviously. And it's changed drastically. I want all my audio coming through my headphones. And yeah, it's, I think a good entry-level set of headphones to start with are Astros. I know some other people might have some differing opinions on that, but I think they're good for gaming. They're a good entry-level set of headphones.
Turtle Beach is probably a little better as far as ground floor level, entry level.
Yeah,
Astros are a little bit more expensive.
Yeah, they're a little bit more.
It's better quality.
I would just say make the jump, man, especially with the mix amp. Like having control of volume of game audio and party audio may change the way you feel about other headphones. I think that's essential to have, especially, I mean, not even just for streaming. I've had my mix amp before I ever got, had done some streams or, even the podcast or anything like that. I think it's very important to be able to balance your audio. I think it's two sides of the same coin, like audio and video. I think they're both equally important. But what about you, Gary? What do you think?
I'm probably as much of an audio snob as I am a video snob. Up there in the same level of snobbery. For me, audio is a big thing. I like to know that the audio sounds good, and I like to hear audio that sounds good myself. So myself, these headphones that I've got on, I bought a couple, maybe 3 weeks ago. These are studio, what they call reference headphones, so they're completely open back. They're unlike, so Astros, at least the A40TRs are like a closed back headphone, or at least semi-open headphone. So the sound almost sounds like it's coming from in your head, whereas these are like open ear, so it's room filling sound. It's kind of like an ambient sound.
Sounds more like a speaker as opposed to a headphone.
Exactly, yeah. The Biodynamic DT990 250 ohm headset or headphones. So you won't hear, I guess you won't see many gamers with it. Actually, Ninja Kappa, Ninja HD, the PUBG streamer, he uses these, and it's kind of what got me interested in researching a bit more about them. But yeah, making the jump to a proper audio grade headphone is like, again, another jump up. Like you said, Astros are a jump from the bundled earbuds that you get with the PlayStation. That's like what I'd call step one. Yeah, it's a big jump. But then going on to these, if you've got them powered correctly and you've got an amp that can supply the power for these headphones, it's astronomical the amount of range that you get. And modern music, stop me from going too deep, but modern music tends to be compression heavy. So everyone's competing for your attention. So you'll find that all ranges of sound, right the way from the drum beats down to the treble to the low bass, they compress it to a point that all of it sounds the same volume. So it's being blared at you. So you just don't have that dynamic range of sound. These headphones don't have, unless you've got a compressed source, they don't have any compression in the sound that they have, that the mix amps put on the Astros. So you get a real true and complete range of sound. For me, audio grade headphones are just a necessity when I either play games or watch media.
Once you move up to a good set of headphones, what you'll discover is not only like the explosions and the music and the gunshots much more epic, but you can start hearing things like enemies' footsteps and using that to your advantage. The reason I got into Astros originally was when I was playing a lot of Call of Duty, And Astros have a feature where you can flip a switch on them that it lowers the volume of the bass and raises the level of the treble, which is just the right range for the footsteps in Call of Duty games or before they start flying around. And it was basically a game-breaking feature to be able to use the headphones, because this was at a time when people were still using TVs that had one speaker. They didn't have even stereo sound. And you're sitting here and you've got fully 3D sound, and you can literally hear this guy coming around the corner and have your gun just sitting there waiting for him to pop out the corner. PUBG is the same way. I've been playing a lot of PUBG lately, and it really brings me back to the days of playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and like those older Call of Duties that were sound whoring was a real thing. And getting a good pair of headphones can really help your performance in competitive multiplayer games. Like really, depending on the game, if it supports that kind of feature, there is a definite price to performance kind of leveling off that happens at the high range of headphones. Like, you know, if you go from TV speakers or, you know, the headset that comes with your Xbox One or your PlayStation, and then just go up to like a $50 or $100 pair of headphones that you get from Turtle Beach at Best Buy or, you know, whatever company's making these.
Yeah. That's
going to be the biggest jump you make. Once you move up to $250 Astros, you know, the jump between those Turtle Beaches at $100 and those $250 Astros is smaller than from the $100 Turtle Beaches to the, you know, PS4 headset, right? And that continues to level off as you spend more money. I'm using $400 headsets right now. Are they twice as good as Astros or twice the cost? No, of course not. They sound better than Astros for music, for games. I couldn't honestly say. If you go up to a $1,000 set of headphones, like the Sennheiser, I can't remember the model number, they sound better than these. Is it twice as good? No, it's not twice as good. You know, it starts leveling off. Yeah. So if you get up to that $100 price point, though, you get pretty good sound out of just about anything in that price point.
What I would say, and it's almost a continuation of the topic that we did last week around gaming peripherals, if you're looking at headphones specifically and you've either got a separate mic or you can put on a mod mic, like the Antlion mod mic,
yeah,
actual audio headphones made by audio manufacturers will probably give you a better experience. Mileage might vary, of course, but you know, Sennheiser, Beyerdynamic, these sort of companies, Blue microphones, you know, the headphones that Briar's using, all of them are going to be arguably better headphones than people like Turtle Beach and Astro and Logitech, HyperX, etc. Yeah, generally speaking.
But they're not going to have the gaming specific feature. Like, you know, the Astros have that switch to turn up the treble. They also have a, you know, swing down mic, and on the A40s you can just take that mic right off. You know, there's mute buttons on these things. You can add a mod mic to any set of headphones, but it's going to cost you an extra $100. I really appreciate people who have spent a little bit of extra time making sure that their mic is okay, because I don't want to hear your fucking $5 mic all night. It sucks. You know, like, hey, I got a $400 pair of headphones and I'm listening to your $5 mic. That's not awesome.
Bullshit.
Yeah. Somebody like is somebody inside of a bag of potato chips right now? Like it gets going. Like, but I feel like you made a really, really good point about how having a good pair of headphones can help you with a competitive edge. PUBG and Call of Duty are perfect examples, but another really good one, and it doesn't always have to be a particular game like that, but in Destiny, where there really are no footsteps, but there is other audio cues, like when people activate their super, grenades, anything of that, what type of gun you hear. You know, if I hear 1,000-yard stare and I'm on Pantheon, I'm not going to run down the middle. You know what I mean? So it could definitely help you out.
These audio cues can be very faint too, and they get lost in the mix on a shitty speaker. But if you have a decent speaker or a decent set of headphones, you do hear these things. And I'm not just saying you need to play with headphones. You can play with a decent sound bar and get a lot of the benefits, you know? But headphones are, I think, the best.
Yeah, I got a pretty decent Vizio sound bar that I use when I'm really in the mood to have that boombastic sound. But my very first gaming headset was actually gifted to me by my good friend Briar. Thank you, Briar. He sent me some Turtle Beach headphones, and that was the very first time I'd ever had a gaming headset. And when I put it on, it changed my life. I've been through about 3 or 4 pairs of Turtle Beach, and now I've kind of settled on the Uncharted 4 edition of Sony Gold. They've been doing me well. I mean, they get the job done, especially when I'm, just playing a quick match or two of whatever competitive multiplayer game I'm playing. But sound definitely matters, and I'm happy we had a chance to talk about this.
I mean, I've literally stopped playing with one of my friends who has your setup you say of actually having the speakers playing the sound back to me.
Yeah.
And then he has his girlfriend in the same room who's watching like Celebrity Love Island or some shit. I've watched most of that series secondhand through his bloody audio because it sort of comes through there. But yeah, I just won't play on mic with him now.
It sucks.
It's just, yeah.
It sucks, like you gotta look. I'm not gonna lie to it. I like playing with people on stream. Like I like inviting people into the stream to play. Every once in a while, you got a guy that literally seems to be talking to you through a potato. Or like it's a potato chip because it sounds like it's still in the bag, and like there's an echo coming, and you can hear his TV, and like you gotta like start working through how to fix his mic with him, and then eventually you get to the point. I'm sorry, I just have to mute you because like not only is it grating to me, but like I got an entertainment product that I'm trying to do here, right? And like I'm sorry, like nobody wants to listen to your shitty mic. You're a cool dude, nothing personal. But that mic is fucking garbage.
The mic things got personal for the mic.
It's very considerate to make sure your audio is as good as possible, especially for streamers. Like, I mean, you'll see it in chat. You'll see different emotes of people reacting to someone's microphone, or you know what I mean. Like, it's just courteous.
Yeah.
And we want to hear your beautiful voice for you. You know what I mean? Like, we don't.
Yeah, I don't want to mute you, and I want to play with you. But I do have to mute people on occasion when it just sounds awful. When it just sounds awful. Or you got like if you got a baby crying, maybe it's not time to play with other people. Maybe it's time to go talk to that fucking baby.
Yeah.
See why it's crying.
I know that firsthand. Yes.
Great real world example actually of the difference of audio. If anyone caught our premiere podcast on Podbean or iTunes, the audio only version, I recorded the entire show with my Logitech webcam mic because I'm a fucking professional.
Yes.
And you can hear the difference there between any other show and the first. If you want a bit of a snapshot into what bad audio does and how awful it can make a recording, check out our first ever audio only version and you'll hear how terrible I sounded.
I still loved it, Gary. It's hard to not love. It's like self-help. Every time I talk to you, I feel like you helped me somehow. Even saying that, I feel better.
I do too. I feel like I'm more relaxed. I feel like my blood pressure's gone down. I'm gonna live
Briar.
longer. Like this is great.
It's like listen to Gary talk
is flowing towards another body part, but let's not talk about it.
Listening to Gary talk is like the opposite of eating pork. Somehow you just get healthier. It's great
and smarter.
But you feel dumber. Because you're staying next to him.
Yeah, but he makes you feel dumb, but then he tells you why, thus making you more educated in the process.
Yeah, I'm thank you for explaining to me how stupid I am.
Yeah.
It's a truth.
It's only when you pull that toaster out. The rest of the time, we cool.
It's always close, Gary.
Get out of my sight.
Always. All right.
Wilson, were you on the next topic?
Yeah, next topic I wanted to talk about was the death of video game box art and manuals. So, like, whatever happened to manuals and awesome box art? I mean, I remember back in the day, instantly, when I talk about box art, I'm instantly brought back to the Atari ColecoVision era of just some of the most intricate, amazing artwork that looks like it belongs in like a fantasy novel. You know what I mean? Whether it be space or medieval setting or something, it just had some of the most amazing box art out there. And it was what you saw first before you turned over the box to see what the game was out on the back. And I know a lot of that had to do with, there's internet now and Twitch and all that stuff. And there's more platforms for people to get their games information out there. But, you look at Nintendo games, they came with a manual that not only had detailed instructions on how to play the game, but a lot of times there's a lot of backstory or lore, or it would set the story of the game up to where you start playing and you knew what was going on as soon as you started playing the game.
Reading
I feel
that
like
shit in the back of the back seat on the way home.
That's what I'm saying. My mom would take me to Toys R Us back in the day when you'd go pull the ticket down off the wall.
I remember those days.
Look at the box art, and you'd flip it up to see the back of the box art. You'd grab the ticket, you'd take it up there. Mom and Dad would pay for it. Get in the car, bust that seal off, and instantly start going through the manual. So by the time you got home, you were even more prepared to play the game. And it was like Briar said, it was something to do on the way home. I used to draw. I used to take them to school with me and draw out of them. I used to put them behind my my books like I was reading. But I was like reading in Nintendo manuals. And
this is why Wilson only proceeded to the 4th grade.
Yes. But like, and then they also used to bundle like strategy guides. And like the first game that comes to mind to me was when I bought Earthbound as a kid, and it came in the big box with the strategy guide.
Huge, yeah.
And there were so many extra pictures and lore and things that you wouldn't know how to do unless you read the player's guide or, heard it from a friend on the playground and stuff. And I guess out of all of this, like PC games. Remember PC
God.
game
PC
box
games were
art?
intense.
Oh,
Yeah.
they were beautiful. And like kind of going back to our topic with swag a little bit, they came with some of the coolest stuff too in those big boxes. They really did.
Yeah.
But I guess my question to you guys is, do you miss the old era of picking up a game based off the box art and having a detailed instruction manual? And what were some of your favorite, most memorable box arts from back in the day?
Ooh, man.
I don't miss that day. I mean, I do appreciate the box art, but I don't miss the days of going to the local video game store and the only information I had to go on was an artist's rendition of the main character
doing something that they never do in the
fucking
game.
Awesome, right? Like,
you're talking about Mega Man 1, right? Do you remember
Mega
that
Man
box
1
art cover?
was like, yeah.
So deceiving, dude. It was cool for what it was, but like after playing the game, you're like, this box art has nothing to do with it, man.
It so rarely did. Look at Metal Gear. Metal Gear's box art was basically just the Terminator poster with that was painted. The problem was back then, that box art was cool and I think is to be appreciated. The problem was back then though that it was not representative of the game, and to get reviews of the game, you had to have a magazine subscription, and you had to wait till a month after the game came out for that magazine subscription to tell you, or for that magazine to tell you if this game was any good. And we just didn't, like as a kid, I just didn't have access to that stuff. So if I was lucky enough to get a birthday present and my mother would take me to KB Toy Store so I could buy a video game, I was literally just staring at boxes thinking, which one's got the coolest box?
Yeah, I fall directly in line with Briar's thoughts here. I remember the old school days, the mid 80s, early 90s, where Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, they would have these amazing hand-drawn box arts of these characters just doing unbelievable shit, looking so incredible with mysterious backdrops and, like you said, fantasy space settings. And when you look at that, to me, looking back, I think even back then, it was a poor representation of what you actually saw in the game. So I don't necessarily miss it. To me, it's more of a nostalgia thing. Of course, it's nice to see it every now and then. I got old stuff I can pull out and look at it for what it was. But I think as technology moved forward, I think that, video game systems offer ways for people to experience entertainment visually. And as technology moved forward, you could also, I think it was PlayStation who did it, that you could actually go, when you played one of their games, you could see the manual online or see the manual on the actual, on the disc. You could see it.
That's the thing I do miss, though, is that you used to buy a game and you get all those pack-ins, but now, like our previous conversation tonight, that shit is all sold separately, right?
Mm-hmm.
To get like, if they sold Earthbound today,
oh man,
there would be a base Earthbound with just the cartridge, and then there'd be an $80 version of Earthbound with the fucking strategy guide in it, right? And like all that extra shit. I mean, that's what they've done. Is the stuff still exists, right? It's just
compartmentalized.
You used to buy a $50 PC game, and it would come in a big ass box with, either discs or later CDs, and in it would be a full-size fold-out map of the world that you're about to explore. There'd be a novel with a book like explaining maybe the character you're playing or some other character's story in this same world. There'd be maybe some dice, maybe some trinkets, maybe a keychain, maybe a pin, like all sorts of fucking random shit was in those boxes. But it was cool opening them up because you didn't know what was going to be in there when you opened it. It was kind of
like Forrest Gump.
Yeah, one of my most memorable. Oh, go ahead, Gary. What did you say, Gary?
I was saying some companies are still doing that. So if you look at, I mean, people that want to keep it alive, but like CD Projekt Red, so the Witcher series, all 3 of the Witcher series, without getting the collector's editions, just the standard editions, came with some great packings. I remember the Witcher 1 and 2, Assassination of Kings. It came in like a nice little PC box, and that wasn't that old as a game, with, like you say, dice, counters, a map of Novigrad City, some cool lore back on Geralt and the Witcher schools. And I think Witcher 3 recently came with a map, a little mini art book, and some other bits and pieces packed into the PS4 jewel case. But sorry, Wilson. Yeah.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, Briar was saying, it comes with maps of the overworld and maybe a book with story. First thing that comes to mind for me was the original Legend of Zelda on the NES. It gave you, granted, we're talking about PC, but NES did it too, with giving you an entire map of the entire, just all of the overworld for you to draw on, put little post-its, candle this tree, bomb this wall, huge stories. Like, I'm talking like the instruction manual was pretty thick for the original Legend of Zelda.
I think it was color too, wasn't it?
Yes, it was all color. And I think you guys nailed it with box art. But I really do miss the manuals a lot. That was one of my favorite things. I read more as a kid than I do now, but I feel like if games came with more literature, I would be more apt to read them. I don't want to read the same health and safety warning, a million times, because that's all you get with the little insert that you get now.
Yeah.
But what were some of the most memorable cover arts for you guys? I know we had mentioned Mega Man 1.
I was going to
Russian
say
Attack was a big one for me because it looked so badass, and then when I played the game, I was like, "Fuck!"
You got duped.
Yeah,
You
man.
nailed it too, man.
Oh,
And
man.
we've all had that experience where you bought something based on the cover art and you go home and you go, "What the fuck is this?"
Right? It's like
Yeah.
no returns, man. I couldn't bring that thing back. I was stuck with that game. That was gonna be my game for the next 6 months to a year.
Right.
I don't know what it's like in the States as well, but talking about box art and that, in the UK, the biggest concern I have is that we're just not going to see it ever anywhere. So we've got maybe one dedicated store, national store that sells games, and one that kind of does it as a sideline. It's like a music store that also sells games, and the rest of it's just supermarkets. So I don't know if the US has presence, but I remember walking into 4 or 5 shops on the high street that would all have like an aisle of amazing looking boxes, and I just don't want to see that go away and end up with like, that being a memory, because we're talking about what our favorite box arts was. I could close my eyes now and tell you exactly what the Doom cover looks like and the Quake 3 Arena logo on the grey box with the red Quake thing, just because I'd seen them around and I'd seen them everywhere, and I just can't remember seeing that anywhere. I mean, do you have that in the States? You still have aisles and shops that sell games?
Yeah. We still have like retail local brick and mortar stores that you can go to and look at games and stuff. But like some of the ones that like where the box art was true to the game. I mean, I look at any of the Castlevanias
That's
on
what I'm
NES.
saying right now. That's the one I was going to say. Castlevania 1.
Yep. Contra was a good one. I'd say Metroid, but if you knew nothing about Metroid and you saw the yellow box cover with just Samus, you wouldn't really know what the heck was going on. You know what I mean? I think
was Metroid. I thought Metroid was some of those Nintendo games just showed the pixel art of like the main character. Was Metroid one of those?
Metroid had
no.
2 variations for the NES. There was a one that you're talking about where it's pixelated with a silver edge, and then there was a yellow label one that was actually the artwork where she's crouching with her blaster like that. So there's label variants and stuff like that out there.
For me, Wilson, to expound on what you just said, you asked what box art is most memorable to us. And for me, it was Castlevania 1. I was a young kid when Castlevania came out, and it was one of the truest box arts because you get this silver outline. You got Simon Belmont holding a whip. You see this huge mountain with this giant castle going up, and you see Dracula in the background, kind of as like a mist form, like smiling and looking very foreboding. And it signified for me exactly what that experience would be. Like, you're going through this huge trial. You're going to fight this incredible enemy, and you're just this guy with this whip. And for me, and the box art, of course, looked amazing for the time, and it still stands up today. But for me, that, it kind of molded me. I'm a huge Castlevania fan. I think all the Castlevania box arts have been phenomenal. But Castlevania 1, for me, it stuck with me for my entire life. Because it meant so much, and it actually translated from that box into the experience that you had in the game, and it just looked amazing to me.
That's what the function was, right? Is like that's why they had to do those artist renditions, because if you were to look at just a picture of the gameplay, you might have not been able to figure out what you were looking at.
Mm-hmm.
So they would put these, artist rendition of what this game is to kind of give you an impression of the world that you're about to step into, and maybe, like, because the graphics were so, early, they're so primitive compared to what we play now, that might have been your only impression of what you were looking at. Castlevania, definitely not, but there were definitely some games, especially I would say in the Atari.
Oh, yeah, you had no idea what you were doing.
It was so abstract that the only reason you knew that was an alligator that you were swinging over with Pitfall Harry's because it said so on the box.
Box,
Like, that thing didn't look like a fucking alligator.
Or the instruction manual had a picture of it and said, alligator.
Yeah. They would show you a graphical representation of the enemies and then tell you what it was. Sometimes they'd even have like description and lore for those characters in the manual.
Yeah. Good days.
Yeah, I mean,
Good old days.
It's certainly, we've had Evolution 4, but I personally, I'm a sucker for packaging still, and there's one type of packaging that always gets me. I mean, I will definitely buy this edition. I say about buying a collector's edition, but if that's not available, I always have to then have the steelbook. So I've got like so many steelbooks at home, and again, games that I'm not even that bothered about. For some reason, for me, if you put the art of the game on a steelbook, it's instantly more desirable. Do any of you have a steelbook fetish, or again, is this just a Gary problem?
I've bought the steelbooks for Destiny. All the Destiny versions that have offered them, I bought them all for the Call of Duty versions that offered them, and for the Halo versions. It's very much like only for the games that I love the most.
I got, I believe it's Final Fantasy 12, the steelbook version. I want to say I gotta look over here and remember, but I definitely think they're more attractive and they're more unique, and you want to buy them as soon as you see them as well, Gary. Steelbooks they're just awesome and just in its form by itself. Yeah.
I have a Doom I think it's Doom 3 steelbook, which is pretty cool.
Xbox, baby.
Yeah. Oh, gee.
Yeah, I mean, if I could throw out all of my Blu-rays and replace them all with steelbooks tomorrow, I would. I mean, they're nice. They look aesthetically pleasing. I don't know. Something for me talking about box art. If you put it on a steelbook, I'll buy it.
Yeah, I don't have too many of those. I'm looking right now. Old school. All right, so where are we revolving to next, guys?
Another one of Briar's topics here. The final shot.
He can't see it, so I'll read it for you, Briar. Is Apple still relevant? Briar's opinion.
Okay, all right, I got this. Okay, so look.
He's ready.
I've had a real problem. Over the last few years, many years, I have been an Apple fanatic. There was actually a point where I wouldn't allow a PC into my house. I wouldn't allow it. It came from a place where I was formerly into IT, and I just didn't want to support a PC in my home. I did not want to come home from a day of work and have to fix a fucking PC. That was the deal, right? And I had Macs. I was a Mac user, and they just didn't break. They didn't have problems. You didn't have a problem with a Mac. You open the thing up or you turn it on, and it would just work. And the operating system was stable. You could run a Mac for a month and never have to reboot it. Whereas a PC, I mean, if you could run it for 24 hours and not reboot it, you're doing pretty fucking good.
So true.
But unfortunately, over the last probably year and a half, I've started to really fall out of love with Apple's, specifically their computers, but in other aspects as well. I still think that their OS is the best OS on earth. Like, I absolutely adore Mac OS. It runs great. It's fast. It's easy to use. It's simple. It does what you expect it to do. And it doesn't have all the problems and the legacy support that Windows is saddled with. When you want to delete a program, you grab the program and you move it over to the trash and you're fucking done. You don't have to uninstall. You don't have to worry about like it leaving shit behind. It's just gone.
Mm-hmm.
But their hardware, they've moved to a point where the hardware it's obviously beautiful, but it's not powerful enough. It doesn't do what I need it to do, right? So I've started to move over to PCs, and I got to say Windows 10 is much better than it used to be. Or Windows 10 is much better.
Windows 8?
Windows 8 was fucking heinous.
Briar used to shit on me. We're talking 3.5 years ago. He'd shit on me every single day, anytime I brought up the fact that I was on Windows 8. And I was very happy when Windows 10 came out as well, Briar. Oh
Windows
my God,
10
Windows 8.
I mean, Windows 8.1 was a big update. It was a big improvement to Windows 8 usability-wise. But Windows is saddled with issues that, they just don't need to be. Their support for legacy software, they need to cut that off at some point, right? The fact that there's still DLLs and driver issues and registry issues, all this shit that we've been dealing with for fucking 20 years on Windows is just... like, why? Why do we still need to be doing this? Haven't we moved on past here? So it's sad to me that Macintosh or Apple doesn't make any hardware on the PC side of things that, as a content creator, I need, right? And I gotta say, I really like my PC. I really like gaming on it. I like the tinkering of the PC. When I have time to start messing around with the internals, that's cool and that's fun and it's a good hobby. But I don't really like Windows. Like, I don't really dig it. Like, it's sad to me that, hopefully, I actually think Apple may be making a play into gaming in the near future. NVIDIA just announced that they made their newest drivers are now compatible with Mac OS. Apple announced the new Mac Pro that's definitely not aimed at gamers, but there's another, or iMac Pro that's definitely not aimed at gamers, but does have gaming quality graphics cards in it. And the Mac Pro is scheduled for release next year, which could be something special. We'll see. But I don't know, man. It's just, I was so torn on the Apple thing. It's like, they've treated me so good for so long, but god damn, they just don't make hardware for me anymore.
Yeah, they don't want to change. I mean, I guess 3 or 4 years ago you were fine because even people on Mac a few years ago were able to play base quality games, but as these graphics cards became more powerful and the demand for power, Apple just refused to budge in that direction, and it's kind of sad to see an Apple like yourself say that you're moving over to PC, as much as I know on the inside of your soul loathe the idea of doing so. I know it.
I mean, Apple I've always seen as the champagne socialists of the PC space. So, like, very much they sit there, sort of in their glass house throwing stones left, right and centre. So this whole idea of why do we have DLLs and a registry and why do we have driver compatibility issues?
Yeah.
It's really, really easy to optimize your operating system when you offer 2 hardware builds, or like one hardware build with 2 variations of like hard drive space and maybe 1 graphics card variant. Their hardware pool is so limited, and limited in a really, really basic way. They don't have support for a lot of titles and games. You're running, but I mean, most people who have a Mac, I mean, I'm going to ask you this question. If Mac's so great, do you have Boot Camp on your Mac?
Yes.
Yeah. So everyone that runs a Mac also runs Windows on it because they know that there's not everything that a Mac can do. If they want to run games, they run it on Windows. They don't run it on Mac. My other half's got arguably the best iMac you can get at the moment, the best spec iMac you can get. And it still can't run a decent frame rate on League of Legends. Which is like,
Wow.
It's a 5K screen, unless she runs it in non-native, and the thing looks like it's been, Vaseline smeared over this lovely 5K Retina display. If you're running it in like an acceptable resolution for frame rates, she can run it in boot camp and double her frame rate.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous that anyone in this day and age would ever consider Mac as viable. I just think if you took the Mac OS and put it into the same ecosystem and hardware space the PC has to, or Windows, sorry, has to operate in, you'd see all the same issues that you see on a Mac.
So you can,
manifest.
and you don't. You can build a PC and put Mac OS on it, and you just don't see the same problems.
So you're telling me it will run compatible with any hardware configuration?
Not any hardware configuration. You have to be fairly selective about what hardware you put into it. But you can buy new hardware and build yourself a PC and then put the Mac OS on it, and it'll run well.
Well, do you guys think, like, I mean, obviously Apple caters to a completely different crowd.
It does,
definitely. A completely different type of. I feel like it's more of a businessy, ease of access type computer. Whereas, I mean, I look at it as like, and this isn't a diss, but I look at it as like, buying a moped or a Harley. Sometimes you just want to cruise, and other times you want to cruise really, really fast and do stuff that a moped might not be able to. And like I said, that's not a diss.
You're not wrong, Wilson. I gotta say, is when I what made me fall in love with the Mac was that when I turned that thing on, it fucking worked, and it was easy to use, and it was reliable. And the software they make for a Mac, it looks better and it functions better to me than the equivalent software. Okay, so I use a computer all day, every day. And my editing software on the Mac is Final Cut Pro 10. And my editing software on a PC is Premiere Pro. Just on a design, just looking at the software, Premiere Pro is uglier. It's not as attractive to look at on a daily basis. But that ugliness goes deeper. The menus don't make as much sense. They move around on you without you knowing why. The difference is on the Mac, you have this big piece of aluminum, gorgeous, and this big piece of glass, and it's just there's a design quality to it that it's just much more appealing, and that goes into the software design too.
But do you think that hardware
kind of
is
user.
more attractive? Because for me, that big piece of aluminum is the most impractical piece of horseshit I've ever seen.
Ooh,
it's fucking gorgeous, man. Why is
I think it's gorgeous. I like it
Okay.
sleek, slim, better than
All
a giant box sitting around with shit tons of cables hanging out of it.
All the access points to it are on the back of the screen.
Well, that's
because
you've
point.
gone and fucked up, and you put your Mac in the corner like a fucking asshole. That thing should be on a pedestal in the middle of the room, displayed like the piece of art it is, Gary.
I'm on Team Briar.
Mac on the pedestal.
Damn it.
The only place a Mac should be is in front of a pretentious hipster at a Starbucks when they're typing up their novel. That's literally the only place you see them.
I would argue they're pretty good for college students. Like I feel like for a college student
can afford a Mac.
That's okay. I hear
Gary
you.
going hard,
But I'm saying, if you went to college, I guarantee, I know you, Gary. If you got a laptop PC, you'd go through 4 of them by the time you graduated. When you could have just bought one Mac at the beginning, and it could have lasted you all through college. And the fact that you can't game on it that well makes it less tempting to. I mean, yeah, like you said, you can run boot camp and you can run a lot of games, but I mean, it's not optimal. And I'm lazy. I wouldn't want to do that. I'd rather just have a PC. But I'm saying, as a college student, for as much stuff breaks for college kids or stuff that doesn't work or they don't have time to fix, Mac is a perfect option. But you make an amazing point about the price kind of makes that null.
Okay, so here's the deal with the price, though. When you buy a MacBook Pro, the thing's made out of solid aluminum. It's milled from aluminum. The thing is tough as nails. It's not plastic. It doesn't have like fucking screws holding plastic pieces in. The hinge doesn't wear out after a year. The notebook screen flops down every time you try and put it in a certain spot. The feet don't fall off, and all of a sudden the whole laptop wobbles because one of the rubber feet fucking fell off 3 months ago. Like, the thing is built with quality, and yeah, that costs more.
No, I bought an Asus aluminium unibody Mac knockoff, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Laptop for $500 equivalent to a 1500 MacBook Pro.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an aluminium unibody, same build quality.
Apple
can't justify it.
I don't believe it.
Show you
Briar.
post show.
I don't think that metal exists.
Briar, my Asus UX501 is an aluminum body, and it was a direct competitor for the MacBook when it released.
I don't believe either of you.
I got a I got a fucking
You guys are
webcam.
just lying to me.
I can move my
put these
webcam
lies
now.
out? Are you willing to put these lies out in the
What is
public
that?
domain right now like this?
Fucking aluminum.
It looks like
That's
it looks
a
like an
fake
aluminum.
PC, can confirm.
It looks like an aluminum cover covering a plastic bottom.
Really?
It's like you're on the verge of hanging up Skype by accidentally closing your computer
I'm
again.
not doing it. Listen, I'm not doing it.
I hear you guys. I think that PC laptops have come a long way. I think the Razer Blade is a really good example of somebody making a laptop that's really caught up with Apple as far as build quality goes. And you get the benefit of having much higher quality components in there. So you get a Razer Blade with a GTX 1080 in it. You know, it's got a Core i7 processor. The thing is very capable. Unfortunately, you're saddled with Windows still.
Right.
You see, I've never had all these problems that people talk about with Windows. It seems to be, I have more issues with Mac. Maybe it's because I'm not familiar with it. Whenever I go into my fiance's office and she has any computer issues, immediately the first thing I do is curse at the horrible piece of paper that they call a keyboard that's got like, it's just like a flat piece of shit with all the buttons missing. They put some weird function button where Windows meant to be. Control C doesn't work. Just the basic fundamentals. It's like, I feel like Steve Jobs sat down when he engineered it and thought, how can I trigger PC users at every possible venture with this bullshit piece of software? And then the people that are indoctrinated enough, it's like Charles Manson's cult. Once you're in it, you think it's a fantastic idea, but the rest of the world are looking at you like you're a fucking psychopath for using it.
I don't even think that Apple fans are big fans of the keyboard. I'll be honest with you. Nobody likes those fucking keyboards, man. And that's one of the problems with Apple. That's one of the problems with Apple right now is that they're making decisions that don't even appeal to Apple fans. Is, you know, they put that stupid fucking touch bar on the top of the laptop keyboard, and everybody's like, "What the fuck is that for?" That just adds to the cost of it. These keyboards, they just keep doubling down. Let's make the keyboard thinner and thinner and thinner. But everybody who's typing on one is like, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. Go back to the old keyboards. We liked this Apple circa 2010 keyboard. Why did you have to fuck it up? Why does this laptop that's already a half an inch thin need to be a tenth of an inch thinner, and we never get to plug a USB device into it? We have to carry dongles for the rest of our life. Why, when PC users get stuff like GTX 1080s in their laptops, are we stuck with this, Intel Core graphics, or like a Radeon card from a mobile Radeon card from 3 years ago? Like, why are you doing this still? Like, why are you making these decisions that don't appeal to your fans?
Yeah.
They've been
I feel like they're
sipping
catering
from
to that different demographic that we were talking about. I feel like it's more of like a businessy type thing. Like, I see a lot of businesses running on Macs and stuff. And I feel like they know where their money lies and where they're going to make their money. So, like, fuck it. Why
I think they're
change
fucking
anything?
it up, Wilson. I think they're fucking it up because when Apple was at their best, I would say, like, from 2005 to 2010, their hardware was awesome. Like, you went out and bought a MacBook Pro, and it was the fastest computer you could buy. I don't care if it was a PC or a Mac. It was the fastest laptop you could buy. It was amazing hardware, and it was in a beautiful aluminum unibody case that was solid and well built. And the OS they were making great strides on the OS every day. If you go buy hardware now, the hardware feels old. Yeah, it's in a beautiful, they still make beautiful cases, but if you buy an iMac right now, even as a high end, the chances of that processor being thermal throttled in there are very high because there's just not enough fucking airflow in this iMac that's thick. You know, like they've moved too far aesthetically. They've gone too far in the area of form, and they've lost too much of the function. They used to be nailing it right on the head with every product they make. I think this is true with the iPhone. I think it's true with their computers. I think it's true with just about everything Apple's doing. And I don't know if they focus too much on side projects like the Apple Car or their new building or what they're doing. But like the fact that I'm not even like really contemplating buying another Mac. I am fully into PCs. I'm learning. I don't like it, but I'm learning Premiere. Right? I don't like the software as much. I really don't. I think Final Cut. I like Final Cut a lot better.
Way better.
It's easier to use.
Final Cuts are way better.
It's easier to use. It's just more aesthetically pleasing. Like I just like Final Cut better. Premiere, I'm learning it. It's just more complicated to me. It's just more. There's just so much fucking extra bullshit. But I'm doing it because part of it is because I really have gotten into PC gaming, and that's just not possible on a Mac. Part of it is because Apple just doesn't sell the fucking hardware that I need to run my business. Like I need powerful hardware if I want to stream. I need powerful hardware to do YouTube. You know, like it just makes life a lot easier. And Apple just isn't selling it anymore. Maybe they're gonna sell it later. I mean, in 2018 they got a new Mac Pro coming out. Later in 2017 they got a new iMac Pro coming out. But right now, if I want a new computer, it's obviously a PC. It's obviously a PC.
I mean, I feel like Apple is sipping from the same Kool-Aid that Sony's been pouring. I mean, if you look at the specs...
You're dissing everybody.
Well, it's the same bullshit specs. Like, look at us. We have a 5K Retina display. The same thing you got suckered into with your laptop when they're like, this is a 4K monitor. And they put the pissiest little graphics card that they've scraped from a dumpster like 4 years ago and put it in to run this like 5K Retina display.
Yeah, he's right.
Ridiculous. Like, why would you? It looks great, it looks pixel sharp, but then you try to put any sort of taxing video onto it, you know, anything, it's awful. I don't understand.
It's great if you're doing graphics or if like for me, like the 5K display on my iMac is amazing because I'm editing 1080p video in a window on my display that is actually showing me 1080p. You know, like so I'm seeing a pixel perfect representation of that video. But for video games, 5K display, I mean 4K display on you got a 1080 Ti maybe.
Yeah, Gary, you're 100% right, man. When I first bought this laptop, I was, you know, as a guy who was not a PC guy, I was like, wow, this thing's got a NVIDIA GeForce 960M in it. I'm thinking that's a pretty high number. Hope it's powerful. It's got a 4K touchscreen, which makes no fucking sense, right? And then nothing in 4K works. Like it's 10 frames per second if I go 4K on anything. You know, I went 4K on Tomb Raider, and I swear it looked like Minecraft. I mean, it was moving so slow. I didn't know what was happening. So, yeah, they kind of suckered me in there, 100%. I just want to say on this topic, guys, it started off as Briar's rant. Gary jumped into the rant. He ranted the other direction. I've never seen you two behemoths go head-to-head in such a meaningful way. And I appreciate the passion on both sides. And as a gamer, I got to side with Gary on this one, Briar. Windows is a better place to go. I mean, you actually sided as well.
There's no doubt that clearly, if you want to play video games on a computer, it's the PC. For productivity apps, I absolutely adore Final Cut. I absolutely adore, I absolutely adore the Mac OS. Like I just love that OS. But you know, if you want to play video games, there's no fucking.
Let me just say this. I don't know if you remember, Briar. You remember a couple of years ago, my computer shitted on me, and I had to borrow my brother's MacBook Pro.
Yeah.
And I was using Final Cut Pro.
Yeah.
And to this day, that is the one thing that I dream of. I miss it so much, even with this computer, which cut down my production time, my rendering time tremendously compared to my old laptop. But Final Cut Pro was at least 10 times faster than what I'm using now. It was so fast, so intuitive, so easy to use. And I'm like, damn it, why can't they put something like this on Windows?
Right.
It was just incredible. There was nothing like it. It's still the best rendering software I've ever seen. No question.
Yeah, I'm I've been using Adobe Premiere. One of the reasons I'm making videos so slowly these days is because I'm trying to learn Adobe Premiere, and it's just so clumsy. Like it just feels clumsy compared to what I'm used to using.
I'd stick with my Mac, at least for
Macs.
making videos.
Apple's not making that possible. Apple's just not making that possible. Like, if I want to buy a PC or a computer right now, it's clear. The clear choice is a PC, and unfortunately, that comes along with Windows.
Damn.
Like you say, they've lost their edge in phones as well. I mean, the phones now are becoming so homogenized. If you look at an Apple phone,
like, where do you go though? Like, what do you do? They invented they didn't invent the phone, but they made huge waves when they introduced the iPhone, and then up until I'd say the iPhone 4, they were just coming out with unbelievable designs, and the software was making great strides. But like, where the fuck do you go from here? Every phone has all the features. Like, what else are you gonna do?
I mean, Apple's commitment was they'd never go into a big size 5.5-inch, 6-inch phablet as it was. They said all our phones are going to be one-hand operation. We're never going to concede to peer pressure. We're never going to make phones bigger. You got the Plus range. They're doing all that. They've said our phones will always have the home button. We're always going to have the Apple home button. Have you seen the specs for the iPhone 8? Apparently, the home button's gone. Again, it just...
In all honesty,
headphone jacks. Can we
Steve
get
Jobs,
some love for headphone jacks?
The statements you're talking about were when Steve Jobs was in power, and he died, and now there's different people in power. And I don't believe that company's being run nearly as well as it was when I don't think it's got the focus that it had when Steve Jobs was leading it.
No, they want it to look cooler, not function cool.
Exactly.
Nowadays, like when you take away like something like a headphone jack, like I use it every day with my phone. And then, like, you can't charge and have your headphones in at the same time. Like, that's just absolutely wild to me. Like, why they'd want to sacrifice that to make it look cooler. I'll go back to the old Zach Morris style phones from Saved by the Bell, the big tall ones. If they work better, you know what I mean? Like, I don't give a shit about what the thing looks like. I'm just going to be talking on it. I mean, I really don't care if people are going to judge me based on the phone that I use. Like, as long as it works really good for my needs, then hey, I'm happy with it. But they keep changing and making them thinner, and they seem to be more fragile. Like, I have dropped this iPhone 5 has taken some tumbles. I'm talking a lot of tumbles, and I have not broke the screen. Sam, on the other hand, hers can fall off the couch and just hit something the right way, like a coffee table leg, and the screen is fucked completely. You know what I mean? So like, I'm gonna ride this thing until the fucking wheels fall off, basically. And then when they do, I have no idea what I'm gonna do. Like I said, I may just go back to the Zach Morris phone and just only take calls.
Become commoditized at this. Like, you can go to whatever store you go to buy a phone at this AT&T, Verizon, or wherever you go to. The phones, it doesn't really matter which phone you get. The phone that's made by Google and the phone made by Apple and the phone that's made by Samsung, they all fucking do the same shit. There's no real fucking difference anymore between them.
What you want to do is you want to get a pager and then a sock full of pennies on quarters, and then just roll like that. Go old school.
Page me, dog.
I don't think you can find one anymore. I don't think you can find a payphone. I don't know where I would even look for one. I mean, I see all the hollow spots on the side of 7-Eleven where they.
I saw one when I was on vacation in Akron, Ohio. Don't ask me why I had vacation. And it actually worked, Briar. I had to pick up the phone and everything. A real fucking payphone.
Let's get back to. Why'd you take a vacation in Akron, Ohio? That doesn't sound like a vacation.
I have to explain this shit to everybody when I say it. I'm from Akron, Ohio. I have a mother there, brother, sister, and Kate's entire family's there, and they're all planning to move to Georgia soon.
Go on vacation to someplace nice and tell them to come too.
They're doing that next year. Actually, everybody's coming down here to Savannah, but we planned it out. We had a great time.
Detroit, Michigan, down to the 8-mile stretch.
Shit. I ain't that black, Gary. Go out there and get shot. Hey, he ain't talking like we talking down here. Shoot that boy. I guess that's it for the topics for this week's episode of Revolver Live. Thank you guys for hanging out with us for another fantastic episode of Revolver Live. We go live every Sunday at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/Briar Rabbit. That's twitch.tv/Briar Rabbit. If you're unable to see the live feed, The videos will also be up on YouTube at Briar Rabbit's YouTube channel and the Beastly Gamer YouTube channel, respectively.
Yeah, but don't watch it on Beast's channel. Come to my channel.
Always Briar's channel. That's part of our rules. Become a part of Revolver Live by submitting your topics, your suggestions, your feedback, or your question of the week at revolvergamescast@gmail.com. That's revolvergamescast@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you guys, and thank you so much for joining us once again.
Yeah, we do want that feedback, guys. Make sure you bring it in. We really want to make that a big part of the show.
I
And
love it.
do we want to do viewer questions on next week's show, or a viewer question?
Yeah, I think the question of the week,
Viewer
I'd love to hear.
Yeah, in the comments.
Topic
Yeah.
of the week. I'm going to float one out there and see if you guys agree. I think there's been a lot of hype in the chat around this Apple versus the world or Apple versus PC talk. I'd love to hear what everyone on this show thinks of Apple products. Are
It's
Apple
not
still
going to go well for
innovative?
Apple.
I don't know. We might have a load of pretentious hipster, Starbucks lurkers. in the chat.
Hey!
We never know. Look,
Motherfucker.
at least-
It's okay when you make fun of the console peasants, but hold on a minute.
we just want to make sure that we know who we can ban in chat. So you make a positive comment about Apple, and it's really easy to find you and kick you out of the community because we obviously don't want your type here.
I noticed.
Damn,
Apple
Gary.
didn't get behind the 2 teraflops a month to help people out.
You don't
guess
know
they
what
weren't backing
teraflops
that.
are at Apple.
Man,
Like, what is that?
They're like, what the fuck are teraflops?
not a clue. They wear.
Is that some
I
other
think
kind of fruit we can name it after?
They
Like,
would
what is
definitely
that?
they would definitely be on Microsoft's side with the most beautiful pixels ever, though. that's
The
straight
best
out of Apple
pixels.
handbook right there.
I know. You ask an Apple
Beautiful
what a
chamfered
teraflop is,
edges.
not going to end well. No, I think if we have an Apple-based discussion, any topic you want to bring, any comments you want to make about Apple products, Apple hardware, Apple software, we'd love to hear it in the comment section.
Shout out to Inner Black Ninja, guys. We hope to have him on the show one day soon. And he said in the comments, fuck Apple. So I'm guessing it's becoming kind of ubiquitous in the comments. People are not
Also,
having
No
a lot of
more.
love.
Any comment about Beastly's beard problem is going to get deleted. We're sick about hearing about it. He understands what the problem is, and he's aware. We're not going to deal with it in the comment section anymore.
True that.
Glad we got that. I'm glad we got that out there.
And talking about Apple and how much we hate them, if you are an Apple devotee, please find us on iTunes because as much as we hate Apple, we will happily, shamelessly abuse their platform for views. This podcast is now found on Apple and Podbean. Type in Revolver Live. The audio version is mixed beautifully by myself. You can hear all of our stunning voices in local quality recording, so you miss nothing. And it will be out to you sometime tomorrow evening UK time. So that will be lunchtime for all you stateside colonials. So yeah, look forward to catching you then.
Should we hit him with the
Fuck
video
Apple,
at the end?
but we love iTunes. Fuck Apple, but we're cool with iTunes. We like what you're doing there.
On those Apple dollars somehow. Leave us reviews as well. In fact, if you leave a review and say "fuck Apple" in the review on iTunes, that will be pleasantly ironic.
Should we play the video at the end of the show?